Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to take this opportunity today to pay tribute to the career of someone who has served both the Liberal Party but also the South Australian people and these Houses of Parliament so well over the last couple of decades, and that is the Honourable Stephen Wade. Stephen Wade obviously stepped down from the Legislative Council a few weeks ago, just prior to us returning for the summer recess. And I think that everyone who knew Stephen knows not only the diligence and compassion that was a trait, a hallmark of every aspect of his work, but also the great calling that he clearly had for public service in the state of South Australia. After graduating in law and economics from the University of Adelaide, Stephen spent quite a period of time working as a parliamentary advisor at both state and federal levels, including for former Liberal Health Minister Dr. Michael Armitage. And it is likely that Stephen, during his time working for Dr. Armitage, really developed his passion for health care, both primary health care, ageing, and something that Stephen was particularly interested in, which came to the fore later when he was appointed a minister in the Marshall Liberal government, and that was the concept of well-being, of preventative health. Stephen worked in corporate governance and on a range of boards, including from 2003 to 2006 as chair of Julia Fire Services, the largest disability provider in South Australia at the time. And he was a fellow of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Following the 2006 state election and the departure of Angus Redford from the Legislative Council, Stephen filled that casual vacancy in May of that year, spending nearly 17 years as a member of the Legislative Council. In April 2010, he became Shadow Attorney-General, a role he held until June 2014. And from then, he took on the role of Shadow Health Minister, Shadow Minister for Suicide Prevention, Mental Health and Substance Abuse and Ageing. And then, in 2017, and I understand this title was at his request, he became Shadow Minister for Health and Wellbeing. Following the election of the Liberal government in March 2018, Stephen took on that portfolio in government, covering health, well-being, mental health, ageing well, substance abuse and suicide prevention. And as someone who had the privilege of serving for 4 years with Stephen, alongside him in Cabinet, as well as other colleagues who are here today, I got to observe his thoughtfulness, his focus on policy development and his desire to ensure that our healthcare system in South Australia, both the primary healthcare system but also the preventative health system, was as well placed as possible and as well funded as possible to respond to the challenges of our times. And the challenges of our times were many, they were varied, and of course one in particular was incredibly unexpected. Stephen had the unexpected role of Health and Wellbeing Minister during the COVID-19 pandemic, and he took a very significant role both in the policy development and the emergency response alongside Premier Stephen Marshall, Chief Public Health Officer Nicola Spurrier and of course Commissioner Grant Stevens, the four figures who had such a key role in ensuring that South Australians were kept as safe as possible during that time. And I believe we will always have to be thankful for the role that Stephen played during that era. We shouldn't forget the very significant increase in health spending during that time, a record investment of $7.85 billion in our health system in the 2021-2022 financial year, including upgrades of the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, the Modbury Hospital, Flinders and the Lyle McEwen hospitals. Stephen was an exceptional health minister. He was a mentor, a compassionate leader, and he will continue to serve, I'm sure, the South Australian public, the Liberal Party and his community in the Adelaide Hills well into the future, and at every step of the way, standing by his side, supporting and encouraging him, was his wife, Tracy. We wish both of them a very enjoyable retirement, and we look forward to catching up with Stephen Wade very, very soon. Thank you, Stephen, for your contribution to South Australia.
Hear, hear.